I discovered why so many men become obsessed with camping and can't get enough of it. Inside each tent, there were stunning women, each one more beautiful than the last. There were the intellectual and graceful ones, the mature and seductive ones, the petite and delicate ones, and the quirky fun ones. There was no type you couldn't find there. This camping site was nestled beside lush green mountains and clear waters, an undoubtedly beautiful location. Aaron LED'd me to a room at the entrance of the campsite, where several men were already inside. In front of them was a large screen divided into several smaller segments, each displaying videos of various women. Men were commenting and occasionally chuckling lewdly at the images. No wonder Aaron had taken a liking to camping. Here, the real reason lay right before us. Each woman's video had a number in the corner which corresponded to a tent outside. For a fee of $3,000, you could book a tent and the woman from the video would be waiting inside for you. What happens in the tent with the beauty is your business? Aaron winked at me. I was slack-jawed at his explanation. Man, can you actually do this? This isn't the camping I had in mind. So, are you interested? Aaron nudged my arm. I nodded subconsciously, then grimaced. It's tempting, but it's kind of pricey. Stop being so stingy. You don't have a girlfriend or a wife? What are you saving for? Aaron smacked the back of my head, looking at me with a mix of frustration and amusement. I chuckled and scratched my head. All right, I'm a VIP here. I get a 10 for 1 special, so I'll let you have this one on the house today. Holy moly, bro, you're the best! I exclaimed, hugging Aaron tightly. Get off me! I don't swing that way. Aaron pushed me away. Slightly disgusted, I laughed and turned my attention to the big screen. There were so many beautiful women that it was almost overwhelming. These grayed out ones are already taken. Pick any of the others. Aaron pointed to the partially grayed out videos on the screen. I scanned the screen and finally settled on one that looked like the epitome of a young and innocent beauty. That one? Good choice. I was actually thinking about choosing her myself, but since you picked her, she's all yours, Aaron said as he took out a card and operated a machine in front of the big screen. Tent No. 66. Go have fun and remember to be safe, he told me. Got it. I responded excitedly and dashed out. When I reached Tent No. 66, I paused at the entrance before unzipping it and stepping inside. Inside, I saw a woman lying half on the bed. She was wearing a white blouse and a plaid skirt paired with sheer black stockings, looking serene with a gentle smile on her face from her reclined position. I could tell she was tall and well-proportioned, with alluring curves, nearly making my eyes pop out. Hi there, I'm No. 66. I'm happy to serve you today. As she saw me enter, she got up from the bed and gave me a little bow, smiling sweetly as she bent down. It was so stunning I could barely keep my eyes open. Hello? I stammered, nervously rubbing my nose, worried I might get a nosebleed. After being single for several years, having such a beautiful woman suddenly in front of me made me worry about keeping my composure. I gulped audibly, looking at her with obvious embarrassment. I started like a true professional. She just gave me a sweet smile and let me to sit on the bed. Don't be nervous. Is this your first time here? She asked, taking my hand and tracing circles on the back of it with her finger. A shiver ran through me, giving me goosebumps. Yeah, first time, I managed to say. I tried to act calm, but my shaky voice betrayed how nervous I really was. She smiled gently, her big eyes seeming to speak without words. What a coincidence. It's my first time here too. She placed my hand on her thigh, guiding it gently over her black stockings. My throat kept rolling, my eyes fixed on her leg, completely unable to focus on what she was saying next. Without her guidance, I reached out and squeezed her thigh. She looked at me and let me caress her leg. My heart began to fasten gradually. Before long, I was no longer satisfied with just touching her black stockings. My movements intensified. I pulled her black stockings apart, revealing her fair, long legs. So fair and so soft. I had never seen such beautiful thighs before. I was completely captivated. Like a beast, I pinned her down. Before long, the ground was covered with torn stocking pieces in our clothes. The tent was spacious, giving me enough room to move from the bed to the ground, from the ground to the tent entrance. The entire tent was marked by our traces. After it was over, I was too exhausted to move. I was lying in bed, smoking a cigarette, cuddling a fair-skinned beauty, feeling indescribably content. She nestled against my chest and whispered, "Are you hungry, sir? Let's go grab something to eat. There's a bonfire party here tonight. I nodded in agreement. Sure. I stepped out of the tent and saw Aaron waiting at the entrance. What are you up to? I asked, puzzled. Just checking to see if you're all right. If not, I would have gladly helped you out, Aaron joked. I playfully kicked him and told him to get lost. Aaron laughed heartily and dashed off. I walked with the beauty by my side to the courtyard. A bonfire was already blazing, surrounded by groups of men and women. We sat down next to Aaron. He was with a girl I recognized from the big screen, the one with a petite figure. I nudged Aaron, surprised at his taste. I hadn't pegged him for that type before. Aaron just gave me the finger. The bonfire party started. Everyone there had come to camp, so there was a common thread in their conversations. People quickly got acquainted. Suddenly, two men approached and asked if I was interested in swapping partners. Taking aback, I looked at Aaron for an explanation. What do you mean? I asked. No worries, mate, we're not swapping, Aaron replied to them with a smile. Two men looked disappointed and walked away. Once they left, I immediately asked Aaron what were they talking about. Swapping? Is that even a thing? Aaron gave a mischievous grin. Bro, you've rented the tent, haven't I told you? During this time, you do whatever you want. If you're willing, you can swap with whoever you want. Otherwise, what do you think makes it so expensive? I listened in astonishment. The owner of this camping site had quite the wild setup. So, David, fancy a swap? Mine and yours are two extremes. Don't you want to try both? I hesitated as I eyed the petite girl next to Aaron. When she noticed me looking, she blew me a kiss and licked her lips. My heart skipped a beat. What a temptress! Flushed and unable to contain myself, I glanced back to see Aaron's eyes gleaming with envy. At the fair beauty by my side. Without much thought, I agreed. After all, Aaron had treated me this time. Seeing my nod, Aaron stood up, grinning, and hurried towards the tent with girl No. 66. Meanwhile, the petite girl naturally shifted her bottom, sat next to me, and wrapped her arm around mine. I immediately felt my arm surrounded by a pair of ample melons, and looked down in surprise. I didn't expect her to be small in stature, but well endowed. She leaned in. It's a bit warm here, darling. Shall we go to the tent? With a sparkle in my eye, I stood up. Sure, let's go inside the tent. She pressed close to me. She kept calling me darling in such a tender voice that I lost control, and soon she was striped naked. She was submissive and compliant, following my every command. It was a completely different experience. By the time we were done, it was well into the night. She delicately cleaned me up and then pressed something on the wall. I was curious about her actions when suddenly the top of the tent opened skylight. I looked up to see a dark sky filled with stars. Darling, how do you like the view here? She snuggled against me as we lay together. Wrapping my arm around her, I replied, It's beautiful. Mountains, water, scenery. And of course you're the most beautiful. She shyly burrowed into my arms, then suddenly asked, Did you enjoy today? Not bad. Why? I nodded. How about becoming a member? You get discounts and special perks. By the way, my name's Quincy. She looked at me so expectantly that I was embarrassed to refuse. How much to start? Just 30,000, she brightened up. 30,000? Maybe next time, I replied awkwardly. Her hopeful expression froze, but soon she giggled. Okay, darling. Remember me when you want to sign up. Though Quincy didn't show it, I still felt that she was noticeably less enthusiastic towards me. Well, she needed to make a living. Staring at the starry sky, I drifted off to sleep. When I woke, the tent was empty. I tried calling Aaron. It rang for a long time before he picked up. What's up so early? I'm working out. Aaron sounded irritated, startled at his new routine. I then heard unmistakable noises in the background. I realized what kind of workout he meant. You carry on, I won't disturb you, I said, twitching my mouth and hanging up. I stepped out of the tent and noticed many others were now empty. I started wandering around nearby. Without realizing it, I found myself at the foot of a hill and decided to explore, only to be stopped abruptly. Sir, I'm sorry, but this is a private area. Please leave. A man with arms thicker than my legs demanded, filling me with confusion. A private area? I glanced at them, didn't think much of it, and turned to leave. Why so secretive? I muttered to myself, shaking my head as I headed back to the campsite. When I returned, I found Aaron yawning weakly, one hand on his lower back looking utterly depleted. What happened? Exhausted yourself? I joked. Aaron waved me over. Quick, help me out. I can barely stand. Take it easy, man. At this rate, you'll collapse on a woman, I cautioned him. Aaron chuckled. Dying in Beauty's arms wouldn't be the worst way to go, right? I shook my head at his comment. After helping him rest in the courtyard for a bit, I left the campsite. So, David, did you enjoy last night? Aaron teased as he sat in the car. I laughed while driving. It was all right that Quincy asked me to sign up a membership card. You didn't actually do it, did you? Aaron looked alarmed. Of course not. Where would I get that kind of money? I scoffed. But I have to say, after I refused, Quincy's service attitude changed completely. Woke up this morning and she was gone. Aaron laughed and cursed. No surprise there. Those camping girls may charge $3,000 a day, but the real money comes from fooling men into buying memberships. Speaking of which, you've been spending big lately, haven't you? I heard membership starts at $30,000. You must have topped up a lot, I probed, eyeing him. Won the lottery? Aaron replied with a laugh, then fell silent. Yeah, right, I scoffed, knowing full well how rigged those were, but I let it go. After dropping the depleted Aaron at his home, I drove to work. After a few boring days at the office, I found myself missing the campsite. Besides the busty Lolita and the innocent-looking girl, I wondered what the other girls were like. The itch to go back was strong. Screw it, I'll just use Aaron's membership card and pay him back if it comes to it, I decided, and tried calling him. Sorry, the number you have dialed is switched off. Please try again later. Surprised I found it. My phone. In today's world, a phone being off was like a person being dead. Had something happened to Aaron? I pondered for a moment and then drove to his house after work. I knocked for a long time without any response. Stop knocking, it's annoying, a middle-aged man from next door complained. Sorry, sir, I'm just looking for my friend. Do you know if he's home? I asked. Don't bother. The kid hasn't been home for days now. Who knows where he's messed off to? The man grumbled and slammed his door shut. Stunned, I stood there. Aaron hadn't been home for days. Could he really be in trouble? Concerned, I reached out to everyone who knew Aaron, but they all said they hadn't seen him recently. Even his parents said he hadn't called them in a while. His mother even asked if something had happened to him. I lied and said Aaron was on a business trip. After hanging up, my heart sank. It seemed Aaron had truly vanished.